Welcome to Beyond the Blend, the podcast that goes behind the science and talks to the people at the heart of the lubricant market, telling the real story of the people who make the lubricant market move. With real insight and honest conversations, we aim to show off the people side from across the entire lubricant supply chain. Join me, Steve Knapp, and Rob Taylor as we delve behind the scenes of the lubricant industry. Let's go. Let's start with a quick 5 from 5. Bhavika, big picture vision or detailed, focused execution?
Big picture vision.
Boardroom pitch or bedtime storytelling?
Bedtime storytelling.
Lovely. Early morning walk or late night reflection?
Early morning walk.
I guess you have to, right, with your temperatures. Leading from the front or empowering from behind?
Empowering from behind, but whatever is required at the moment.
We'll open up on that for sure. Writing for adults or creating for children?
Creating for children always.
Beautiful, beautiful. Today, we're joined by Bhavika Sachdeva, Director of Trinity Lubes and Greases, out in the UAE, in the heat of Dubai,
Yes.
50-degree heat. Welcome to Beyond the Blend.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Just say hi and introduce yourself to people.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for having me here. And I love the 5-5. Made me think as well. Hi everybody. I am Bhavika Sachdeva. I am a director at Trinity Lubes and Greases and Siddharth India. So for the Siddharth Group, I take care of some work sometimes, of course. And I'm a mother of 2. The company is a private label manufacturing company for all lubricants and greases for mostly the MNCs and OMCs. And here's me. I take care of strategy, finance, and a bit of everything here and there.
Fantastic. Well, it's lovely to meet you, and thank you for taking the time to share what will be a great story with the Beyond the Blend listeners. I'm very much looking forward to learning more about some of the inspiration you provide to the sector and to people within the sector. And I'd like us to go, if we could start, I guess, a little bit midway through things, and that's the entering the world of business. Right after college, right after marriage, what did those sort of early days look like for you? I guess stepping into a company and an industry, and maybe in a culture, that we could explore that a bit, where few women led, right? How did you begin to find your own voice and confidence as a leader?
So, Steve, I jumped into work right after marriage. And let me tell you, I got married very early at like the age of 21. That too, we can jump into it some other time maybe, but that too was a completely arranged marriage. So that's like a full story right there. And so this is my husband's family business. So right after getting married, I also came into business with him. It was like managing 2 life-changing transitions all at once. So there's, getting into an arranged marriage with somebody you barely know, by the way. And then, entering a work that too, in a manufacturing, male-dominated, as we would say, sector in a country which is India, where anyways, it was not that easy to find other women who were working, at least in the industrial area that we were in. So yeah, it was a lot of things at once. And of course, when we talk and reflect and look back, I can say it in a different way. But when I look back, I want to laugh at that little overconfident version of myself who thought she knew everything and she can handle everything. And, she was the shit, as we would call it. So when I look back at that version of myself, of course, I feel like laughing. And when I look now, 15 years later, 14 years later, I look at myself and I say, oh my God, how did I really genuinely do it all? But I would say it wasn't much at the time because, you take one step forward and you go on. it wasn't strange. I mean, you enter work and you come in those and your clothes, and you're going to make an impact and difference, and you sit and you realize everybody there is more than double your age, and all men sitting. So yeah, it took a little bit of time initially to gain that ground, to feel confident, to try and create an impact as I wanted to, like I'm saying. But yeah, we got there, of course. I think it's all about putting one foot in front of the other and keep going at it. I think that's how I would put it. Yeah.
Yeah, step by step. So great ambition, great belief in what you could achieve, but
Absolutely.
a step by step approach to that. And were there moments along there where confidence started to build, to push things a little further? Can you sort of open up on where that sort of extra confidence layer started to come?
I'll be very honest. My introduction to work, I mean, after the first week that I started coming and I decided, yes, this is my work and this is where I want to be, it was actually my father-in-law. He put this big table next to his for me. And when I entered, there were pictures of all the women leaders of the world on it, like big pictures with a very big slogan which says, if they can do it, so can you. And, there is a very big sense of confidence that comes from any parent figure who believes in you. That being said, there was a lot of space, I would say, given to me for making mistakes and being wrong. And trust me, I was wrong a lot along the way. But I think it's also about leaders who let you make that mistake, learn, step on that ground, learn for yourself. It's something that I also want to pass on to whoever comes on to my team, that because that's what I'm saying, that at that age where you don't know much but you think you know everything, but if somebody lets you think that you know everything and go along the way, then definitely that's creates a lot of impact. I think it also came from making a lot of mistakes. There is something that I call a growth mindset, and that is not being fixed into a box of saying I am lazy or I am great or I am not anything. Everything is changeable. You are allowed to change anything you want. And if that mindset is something you start working with and you believe in, I think that is what, leads you to grow. Whether it's in life, whether it's at work, whether it's in your personal relationship or your own path.
Fantastic. So, I mean, I love the fact that your father, very, very significant, not only father but leader. So he had these images of inspirational ladies on the wall. Was this deliberately trying to motivate you, do you think, or do you think it was more a general sort of way he was, that he saw equity in gender as being important early on? What do you reflect on that?
So that particular one was definitely just for me. Of course, he is a great leader and he does believe in equality, and he's a great person and an inspiration, and you will, if you have the honor of meeting him, I'm telling you, you will totally feel that. A very open-hearted, larger than life person and personality. But that particular thing was only for that day and only for me. I still save those pictures with me and I've kept it aside. So that was a deliberate motivation because, he could see that I am in two minds or I am wavering and I am saying that maybe I can do it. I'm great, but I'm not sure if I can do this particular thing. And then he just gave me the confidence that if you want to come, anyone can do it. So that's the kind of belief, I want to take forward in my life as well. So that's one moment I do remember a lot. And even now, if I am struggling with, self thoughts or a very big challenge comes onto life, so I go back to that moment and I still get that motivation from it.
Oh, that's a lovely, and thank you for sharing that. That's really, really nice thing to have learned so early about not only you but your father and the environment that you grew up in. Can I just ask a question? I'm intrigued, not to name them all, but who were some of the ladies on the pictures?
Oh my God, there was Kiran Majumdar Shaw, there was Margaret Thatcher, there was Queen Elizabeth, there was everybody. I'm telling you, it's a lot, it's a big list.
A who's who? A
Who's
who's
who
who?
is who? Yeah, I'm still not there, of
Fantastic.
course, but hopefully soon.
Well, that I'm sure that will be a great addition to the mural, right? Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, maybe your daughter will end up putting your face on her own mural, right?
Oh
Maybe that's the
wow,
way.
that sounds amazing. Wow.
I mean, thanks for sharing that. So we're in the work mode. We're in an environment where we're finding our space. We're leading with courage, and we're moving step by step forward. And I can only imagine some of the challenges and personal pieces that you would have been confronted on a day-to-day basis, but let alone without sort of raising a family as well, right? So not only were you leading this growing business, you were raising a family. You've shared with us two children, and creating tools to support other people, right? So how do you navigate that blend of personal ambition and that empathy? And I guess what's helped you stay grounded as a leader and a mother through this period, if I could ask?
So, Steve, I truly believe that being a mother is one of the most dominant parts of who I am. And initially, when I had a child and I went back to work, and I don't know why it's so ingrained in not just me, but so many women I've spoken to as well, that we try to show up to work without, pretending we don't have that big part of our life when we get to work, because I don't know, maybe we want to be taken seriously and we feel we will not be, or we think it will be frowned upon. I don't know why, but I feel a lot of us, we do that. We get to work and we try to perform like we don't have a family back home. But when we get home, we want to, pretend that we're not at work. And those are very big parts of who you do. That's, where your time in goes and your heart in goes. So I feel there was a lot of transition that came into me once I started accepting that this is a very big part of my life and this is who I am. And I'm both. I'm not one or the other. And I'm not a different Bhavika when I go to work, and I'm not a different Bhavika when I'm at home. This is me. And even now, I mean, literally have to sit aside and lock this door, even at, because a lot of my meetings, you'll see my little one sitting on my lap and trying to explore what's going on in the computer. And I've started accepting that. I'm not embarrassed of it. It's something that is there. It take a few seconds and, she will leave. It's fine. So I feel accepting that motherhood is a very big part of me. What gave me a lot of confidence, and as you said, the word empathy, even at work. So it's about how you connect with people. Once I started talking about my kids, Steve, even we connected instantly on kids. You spoke about your daughters, I spoke about my daughters, so it's we instantly, across cultures, across geographies, across ages, the one thing I feel we will always have in common is we love our kids. So when you start talking to people, about your children, about your life, they tend to open with theirs, and you form a connect which is way, above anything that can happen professionally ever. You connect to the human there, and that's, a great way to connect. So that's one thing I discovered when I started accepting that part of me. The other thing I discovered is how I lead changed. So there is a joke with everybody in my office. I tend to call people bache. Bache in Hindi means kids, kid. So even if somebody is like double my age and I'm talking to them and explaining, and I'll say bache, and they all start laughing at me. But what that makes me feel and think is that what does this person, this situation, or this problem currently need for it to grow, for it to change, without putting in judgment from a perspective. So because you are associating to that person as and talking as you would explain probably to your child, so it's not about explaining, it's about accepting. We accept our kids with all their mistakes, right? So there's a lot of acceptance and empathy that comes towards other people when when you embrace that part of your life. And I feel that is the biggest change that happened once I embraced motherhood as a part of my everyday work life.
I think that is really significant, and I can only talk about it from a father's perspective. But my business partner Rob, he runs a program called Dads in Business,
So nice.
and he does it for very similar reasons. It's there's no rule book, and therefore sometimes you feel you have to pretend and be a role that you're quite not. You're not separate from work and home. And I love the fact that you make that clear connection. On a very practical sense, has the sort of digital world helped that? Because there's less physical meetings potentially. There's more acceptance that we might be in our homes and we might have dirty pans behind us. We might not be in this pristine office. Do you see that having changed as well?
Yes, to a very large extent, yes. Maybe that is what brought it on, accelerated, I would say, the change. Um, I think for me, it was just more than the digital world. One, the digital world does help a lot. The days you cannot be in your office, you are able to work from home. I think that is a great transition that has helped me and will help many other women, or even dads who want to be involved in their kids life but want who are still working. And I do feel it has also helped a lot of fathers be more involved where they were not. So yes, it does help a lot. For me personally, probably my second pregnancy triggered it. I was not able to go as much to work, and I was too tired to sort of tell the other one to go out, sort of a thing. So maybe it was a bit of that. I don't know. It was also coming from a feeling of discomfort when I come to work, and I'm, that's a part of me that I'm not talking about or I'm pretending I don't have, but I know I have. There was a lot of sense of discomfort where that came from. And whatever triggered it, whatever accelerated it, but once it has changed, I feel more confident of myself as a person and of myself as a mother. I mean, it's not just that I get talk about kids at home. I also talk about work to my kids. So my daughter knows, she's only 10, but she knows, if I'm struggling with a situation, or, so there's a bit of both in both places. And while that sounds a little bit chaotic, I do feel that's helped me settle much more rather than create chaos.
I mean, I think explaining to your kids what you do is one of the life's biggest mysteries, isn't it? Because when I was with Shell, I was away from home a lot, and I only learnt this very recently that my youngest daughter and her friends thought I was a spy. Right? They thought because I left home with a suitcase and I didn't really tell them where I was going, and then I'd appear back, that I was a spy. And I think she told me this maybe 6 months ago, and I had the same reaction. I felt it was so sweet, and I laughed so much. But
Oh God. So I told my daughter that I'm going to be, talking to somebody and it's going to be a podcast. And her reaction was, what do they need to know from you? Why you? I mean, I don't get it. She said, yeah, really seriously, mom, what do they need to know from you? I'll tell them.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, through kids, we get so much fun and joy, don't we? That's brilliant. So I mean, thanks again for sharing that, because I think embracing the true you and learning that as early in your professional career is a super advantage. I think I've said on a previous podcast that I found it very late in my career. The fact that you found it early, I think, is only going to be empowering and inspiring for other people. And my strong advocacy to anybody listening to Beyond the Blend is find your true self early, because it's the best version of you, right? And from that you can achieve your more, or happiness or contentment, whatever it is. I guess we're all itching.
Your center is the correct word for it. I mean, if I feel I found my center, I wasn't always struggling with the mom guilt or the work guilt or all of that. You find yourself more centered. Definitely.
Lovely. That's a super piece of sharing. So thank you. I mean, but within that, you've also spoken already about the step by step. But I read somewhere that you've showing up even if it means crawling, right? So I've picked up on that because I love that phrase. Can you share a moment in your journey where that mindset really got you through, and what it taught you about yourself?
Absolutely. So, of course, we all face our own challenges and we all face our own struggles. And there are always times at work where, you're not able to bring it is the correct, work. And even at home. So I think this phrase truly comes from a very challenging time at work, which we were having. And that was around the same time that I had another baby as well. So for me, she was young. I mean, she'd been there for some time, but she was very young, which is before, I would say, I accepted a big part of this motherhood and work together and all. So for me, it was my baby was young, but also struggling with her own small issues. There was a lot of problems, I would say, at work as well. And at every moment, you want to have the 100% of yourself there. And I feel it's very easy to crumble under pressure if you feel a lot of pressure. What I realized is that showing up every day, even if you didn't feel like it, and even if you didn't have all the answers, it brought a lot of it opened a lot of way, whether it was at home that you're just available even if you're not able to do much, but you're available when you need to be. And even at work, I would say that just showing up every day to have that cup of coffee, there are still 5 things you end up doing. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to achieve 100%. You don't have to resolve it right now, but you still don't, give up. So I feel that was my period, as I would call it, crawling. And I still have my crawling days, of course. But it just, you don't do one for the other and you don't leave something altogether. You just keep showing up. And even if it is baby steps, and even if you go one step more rather than the 15 steps you wanted to achieve, and you stay with it, a lot of greatness comes after that. A lot of resolution comes after that. So that's the one, it was a small period in my life, but it's one thing that I stay by. So the days I don't feel like doing something, I call it my crawling day, and I crawl through it.
So you name it.
It's my crawling day. And people know about it. My husband knows about it. I'm crawling through the day, but I'm going to crawl.
I mean, that's so enabling, isn't it, really?
Don't miss Lubricant Expo Europe from the 16th to the 18th of September at Messe Dusseldorf, Germany. With 200 exhibitors covering the entire lubricant value chain and over 4,000 visitors, including industry leaders, OEMs, and end users. It's the must-attend event of the year. Register now to attend for free. Head to lubricantexpo.com/EU. Let's shape the future of lubricants together.
You're right. Some days you're just not there.
Absolutely. And it's okay to be not there, but it doesn't mean you just shut yourself. You still, do what needs to be done till the amount you can do it, and that's about it.
Yeah, and the permission to yourself to crawl.
Exactly.
Is a big thing. Because you're right. I mean, we work in an environment, don't we, in the sort of energy space where, very visible what we do. It's quite significant what we do, and therefore the potential to want to solve big things every day is baked into that kind of environment. But yeah, sometimes I'm not quite there.
Yeah. I'll still come.
Yeah.
I'll have 2 extra coffees. I'll sit there sometimes for a bit, and some of that energy will come back, and that's fine.
And it's taught yourself that it's okay to do that because you'll bounce back. You'll be there another
Exactly.
day, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, again, another great sharing for people. Everybody can now be marking in their calendars crawl day. You're giving us some real gold here. I love it. I love this self-management side. This self-control side of your journey. It's really inspiring to hear that you're doing it on your own terms. And I think that for me is a really big thing that I've already heard. I've only asked you a couple of questions, but anyway, let's sort of move on just a little bit. And something that's clear, I see it on your LinkedIn profile, women in lubes and greases. You're a visible advocate for women stepping into leadership and stepping into financial independence, I guess, that comes along with that.
Absolutely.
I was in an event in London only this last week or so, and I made observation that there were more females in the room, okay? And I recognized that because I've come from a period where that room would have looked very different 30 years ago. But somebody on my LinkedIn post they thought I was being a bit disrespectful, which wasn't my intention, by the way, because they said I treat everyone and it doesn't bother me and la da da. And I thought that's marvelous. If that's where we're at, that's marvelous. But back to the question, you're a strong advocate. There are people who perceive we don't have things to change still. But my question is, as a female in a leadership position, are we there, or are there still things that need to change?
So I feel this advocacy or the need for me to feel that I need to advocate comes from the fact that I feel there are not enough women, right? And I know a lot of people may disagree, and this is what I'm saying, that there was a time where I would not talk about things because there were people who were going to disagree and not like it. But I truly believe that this is still the need of the hour. Of course, things have advanced a lot. Of course, you see a lot of more women, that it is true. So just a couple of years ago, when this whole women in lubes and grease started, and there's a lot more I want to be doing with it, but at least, it's something. I was in a conference with 500 delegates, and there were only 5 women in the room. And that's like, I don't call that equality, right? So, and it is easier for women to connect with each other and, speak to each other instantly. It's more difficult when you're just like the 5 of you and you have 500 other people to talk to, right? So it did come from that. And this is only a few years ago. I won't say it's like 15 years ago. I'm talking about a couple of years ago. So I do not personally agree that it is equal right now. It doesn't even come from the fact that, I'm a feminist and I want 50% women or more women and all of that. It doesn't come from that. It just, I truly believe in the ability of women to lead, to create an impact. And the more people I talk to, and the more especially the women I talk to, I feel they struggle with believing that in themselves, rather than anyone else telling them that they cannot do it. So the reason to, be a small voice in this whole thing is to hope to give other women that confidence that, yes, you are going to create an impact. Yes, there are other women in this field. It's a brilliant field. It's a very nice industry. It's a very welcoming, small, nice industry. People care about each other. People truly know each other after so many years. So I do feel it's a nice space to be in. And I do feel it is open for women to come in. So it's not that the industry doesn't want women to come in. It's a very open industry. It is that probably it's not that glamorous, greases, lubricants. I mean, come on. So probably something else would be more glamorous. But all I'm trying to say is that it's truly it's a good industry to be in. So for me, I'm trying to advocate more women to come in from that perspective. And yes, I have seen a lot of improvement over the years, but it's still not strange for me to be the only woman in the room, even if there is a meeting of 10 and 12. So definitely, no, we are not there. And I do tend to notice this, and I do tend to, it always resonates with me. I don't know if other people notice it as much, but I do notice it. I love to make friends. I love to meet people. So for me, this one thing I do, always tend to notice. And I've seen so much work happen as just our work. We'll come in, we'll connect, we'll speak about a bad day, we'll speak about clothes, sorry to say, and then, yeah, okay, and that work is solved within 2 minutes and we're out. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff that goes around. So to whoever who said that, they don't want to see it, I still feel there is a lot of work that needs to be done. The statistics say it's not just our industry, it's many industries actually. Yes, there are a lot of women at work, but we as a society truly have not overcome. There are a lot of transitional phases of being a woman, including when you are having children. There is a lot that comes with it. And a lot of big companies probably, hopefully, have managed to fix that gap. But unfortunately, there's no one solution that fits all in everybody's journey, which is why I feel we generally have a harder time to find the correct solution for it. But there are, of course, ways to navigate that, which is why I do advocate for more women to come in, whether it's in this industry or whether it's at work in general.
Yeah, and I think we've got to continue. And you might have noticed on the Beyond the Blend podcast, we really try to talk with the inspirational ladies, not just from a position of a myopic view of this is all about promoting ladies, but to probably just show the diversity of roles, the potential, almost like creating our mural on the wall that your dad did for you, right? And that's what we look to do, as we do blend male and female, of course. But I think this is a really critical part, that we show that leadership is possible, and leadership in many directions. But maybe just spend a moment, if you would, just tell us a little bit about what Women in Lubes and Greases is, just so those listening in that are curious might become more curious.
Absolutely. So this is currently just a movement that I'm trying to create. So it's currently just a group on LinkedIn where I want to create a platform for women to be able to connect with each other faster, have access to other women, ask questions, maybe even message, I'm on going to this conference, would you be there? So, you get to find each other, connect with each other and pull each other up. So that is the one thought process of it. And the second is what I'm doing even currently, but otherwise in other so many exhibitions and stages, etc., is talking about women at work. So it is just the small voice where we are trying to promote women to come into this industry and have a way to connect with each other.
And hopefully there'll be a few people looking it up on LinkedIn right now and hitting the join or connect button. So hopefully there's a positive consequence out of that for you. But yeah, those rooms where 500 to 5, or you're the sole individual, let's try together to banish those.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I mean, I enjoyed preparing for today because I saw a whole aspect of creativity in the things that I was reading. So we've got this successful leader of a business, this successful mum, someone that's inspiring, a community on LinkedIn to talk about, women in lubes and greases. But then I start see blogging, promoting and encouraging your daughter's many business ideas.
Yes, she's a handful. Yes.
So the next big idea, writing for children. Maybe you can tell us more about all of these things, but where does that creative spark come from in you?
I think creativity keeps everything vibrant, human, true. So it's a very big part of who I am, and it's a very big part of how I make sense of the world. I'll always be an out of the box thinker. That's a personality trait, I would say. I've always been a creative person, actually. I used to paint as a child. I did many exhibitions. So it's always been a part of the process for me. So that's another part of me which I can't just, leave behind when I come to work or embrace life. The book that you're speaking about came about in COVID. My daughter that time was about 4 to 5 years, very social child, struggled very, very hard with the COVID restrictions of not meeting other kids and being stuck at home. So that, I tried to search up a lot of help which I could sitting at home on what I could help my child with, but I didn't find much. So there's a lot of self-help available for adults. And I started trying to get the concepts of it and started making exercises for my child to do. Related to that, it helped her a lot. And once I did that, a lot of other mums reached out to me and I sent them that content. And eventually it got translated into a book, which is a sort of journal where you help build kindness or self-esteem or the happiness quotient. So it just got transformed into that. And while I was, researching this and while I was trying to create this, I got involved in a lot of parenting blogs, I would say, and also so many people who give out parenting content, again, which I felt is great, but not very child friendly. But I love I love the aspect of what they were trying to say and, the fact of positive parenting. So I started blogging about it, of my learnings, and also of quotations for other parents if I benefited, what helped me. And so it's something that goes along the side. I still do that. Yes, absolutely. I also feel a person is a lot of the content that they consume. So it's it's that side thing. It gives me happiness. It teaches me as well because I need to research for it and I need to put it there. So it helps me as well on parenting and on your mindset towards parenting. And I like to help others along the way. So yeah, for me, it's like, if there's a problem, what's the solution? If there's no solution, okay, let's go create a solution. So even this women in lubricants and even this, the journal that we're talking about in generic, it all stems from that if I can't really find a solution available, then let's create a solution.
I mean, I love that. I mean, I take notes as we go through the conversation, and this sort of mental health, the positive framing, the strategies to overcome, and almost a barrierless environment that you create in your answers is inspiring, really. And I can only imagine that your two children, I mean, we focus on your daughter here, right? But your two children, I imagine that they've got some really amazing open minds when it comes to the art of the possible. And it's great to hear that coming through you.
I hope so. So I feel anything, especially resilience, it stems from a higher purpose always. And the purpose can be anything. For me, and I feel a lot of mothers, it's usually that we want our kids to, be a certain way. There's no point in telling them that. So you try to power through so that, we hope that they follow. So yeah.
Yeah. So I feel a bit dirty asking this question now, because clearly you've shown creativity in that sort of private side, dealing with COVID, which, I can only imagine in 50-degree heat. But
I was in India back then, it wasn't so bad, really.
Oh, right. Okay.
Dubai is very well equipped as well for the heat. So we're fine, honestly. I'm still in a jacket wherein you're in a t-shirt. So we're fine.
That's a fair point. And it's only probably 20 degrees here, but you make a good point. but there's this creativity in parenting, in your own frame. So that where I feel a little bit dirty is asking this: how do you shift that creativity to work? I mean, is there a creativity in your approach to your professional side as well?
Absolutely. So, other than just, the basics of how you do your work, etc., but I feel if creativity is a part of a person, so like I said, for me, I'll always be an out of the box thinker. So if there is, a solution that is there, great. If it's not, let's go create it. If if there is a problem, what's the general way to fix it? If we all can't sit and fix it, then what's the other way to fix it? So there is a few things that come from that aspect of it. The other thing is that you will all, even internally, the things which, not really my job, but I would love to do. Which I pick on for as a role, which is not really a role, will always be, internal, probably videos of the team of us, which then I collate and I send it to them. Or if we've had like a really nice global sales meeting, so I'll give everybody nicknames and a fun animated role, and then we have a graphic design, I get it created properly from him and I send it out to them. So there's a lot of, yes, small things that come with that creativity, which I do bring to work.
I love that, because leadership and work should be a great environment. Yeah, the leader should lead a space that's great to be in. And it sounds as though that balance of your creativity, your leadership, your crawl day mentality, your step-by-step view on the world creates a really amazing place to work.
It sounds so much better when you say it. I'm telling you. I'm like listening to you. I'm saying, wow, who's this person? I love it.
Oh, well, you're just telling me. I'm only saying back what you're saying. But as we come to the ending of our conversation, time moves so fast. You've shared so many learnings already with people, Bhavika, but I wonder if there would be one specific piece of learning or advice that you would give to our listeners that you found helpful or insightful that you'd be willing to share.
I guess for me it is stick with it. Take your time to make a decision first and weigh everything in. But once you're in something, stick with it, give it your 100%. Never be fickle-minded once that decision has happened, because I feel that's where a lot of confusion comes from. So rather than jumping from here and there, it's more about sticking to what you've decided you want to do.
Good. I think that is good advice. There's so much distraction, isn't there?
Absolutely.
In the world, that being clear on the goal, the purpose, and
take your time. Take as much time as you want to be first clear. But once you've done that, then stick with it.
I love it. That's great advice. So I'm playing forward now. You'll go back into the family, and they'll say, "So what did you talk about on that podcast?" and you'll be able
to that conversation.
And you'll be able to play it back. Well, at least it will be there for them to listen to. My hope is that maybe they'll add a photograph to that wall, and that will be in your wallet. Because I think you've shared so much with us, and I'm very grateful for you finding the time in your busy diary, because we did take some time to secure this time.
There was a lot of travel here and there. Last couple of months were very busy. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for that, and I will take you up on the coffee when we're in Dubai next.
Looking forward, Steve. I really look forward to that.
Yeah, I do too.
It was really nice connecting with you. Great person. I loved our beginning conversation, even, before we went live. We connected instantly, I felt. And you were talking about your listeners, and I would like to say, yes, I am one of them. So I was quite excited actually when you reached out, because I'm one of your listeners who loves to go on this podcast and listen to who's saying what and what are you on about and what are you saying. So it's really nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. if people want to continue the conversation, where are they best to find you?
Very active on LinkedIn, and I'm very responsive as well. So yes, absolutely LinkedIn.
Okay. Bhavika, thank you ever so much for joining us on Beyond the Blend, and we'll see you in Dubai.
Thank you, Steve. See you soon.
Don't miss Lubricant Expo Europe from the 16th to the 18th of September at Messe Dusseldorf, Germany. With 200 exhibitors covering the entire lubricant value chain and over 4,000 visitors, including industry leaders, OEMs, and end users. It's the must-attend event of the year. Register now to attend for free. Head to lubricantexpo.com/EU. Let's shape the future of lubricants together.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beyond the Blend. Be sure to follow us to catch next and future episodes as we continue to explore the people within the lubricant market.